the big calls on all the big races. Yes, it's time for another What a Shout. Myself, Dave Orton, thrilled to be back in the seat somewhere in the capital, back on a Friday morning. All change out there. Brought to you by our sponsors, Bet365. We look ahead to the flat action. Yes, the flat is back on the turf, mind you, for one weekend only. And of course, we go to some polytrack action with a fantastic card at Kempton as well. All those previews coming your way then. Don't forget, like, subscribe, comment and share if you're watching on YouTube, anything on Twitter. Get involved. Hashtag What a Shout. Don't forget, of course, there's members club offers and all sorts coming your way still. We ran it for the Cheltenham Festival, didn't we? It was such a popular offer. We continue to keep going. Here it is. Stay ahead of the field. The members club. 50% off then your first 3 months. That's $19.98. It's etched on my retinas. That's such a good deal. You get the digital edition at 9 p.m, of course. All of the spotlights, all of the replays, RPRs. You get all the kills, tips. There you go. All the stories from Frankie, Paul Nicholls. Reminding ourselves what a good Cheltenham Festival he has. Tom Seagull prize-wise. It's all there for you, basically. Tips from the pros every evening, 6 p.m. All the cards. New website that's come your way this year as well. I tell you what, they call me the king of the filling. I'm absolutely superb at talking over these adverts. They keep getting longer. But subscribe today. It's your chance to do so. Right. Housekeeping out of the way. We're all in the studio today, I'm delighted to say. And it's a return for Paul Kealy. How are you, my man?
Yeah, good. Yeah, glad to be here. It's funny, isn't it? It's all changed. We've spent an entire winter virtually watching jump horses run on flat ground, and now we get to watch flat horses run on jump ground.
You couldn't make it up. Pat Cooney joins us back for sponsors as well. 365 Pat.
Yes, and good to be here. And hasn't March gone on forever, hasn't it? At least we're now in April, and it gets that bit sexier, I think, with the flat coming back. But we've still got Grand Nationals to come, of course. So it's a pretty hectic month coming up.
It's a funny time for a punter kills. I'm not going to ask you for horses to follow yet. It feels too soon.
Way too soon. Way too soon. We always get asked for it. We have to do it. I had to do something for the flat annual.
Yeah.
We put one in the. We all put one in the Racing Post today. They are guesses at the end of the day, aren't they? That, nobody knows what's going to happen yet.
Yeah, we also had some big news, Kiprios out of Gold Cups and all that sort of thing. But it does feel a little way off. Kills, it starts then at the Lincoln tomorrow. Everyone getting excited about the turf returning. But it does then taper back to the all-weather a bit. Of course, next Friday we've got the championships.
Well, this is it. I mean, it didn't take potatoes back to the all-weather, potatoes back to jumps as well. Over the next 2 weeks, there are 55 meetings after tomorrow. And only 11 are flat turf, and none of them are particularly big, or meaningful at all.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of a false start, isn't it?
I know.
But it will pick up. It will pick up straight after the national. We get the classic trials at Newmarket and Newbury, and then we really kick on, don't we?
And I'll tell you what, I think credit where it's due. There's been prize money increases, obviously, at this meeting, Pat, haven't there? There was only 8 in the Spring Mile, wasn't there? The consolation race for the Doncaster. They're now massive fields again. Yeah. We're going to start off with a really easy race with the 150, the Brocklesby. We'll get to that. But great to see the very competitive racing. I'm sure turnover will be high.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the Brocklesby is a Class 2. Who would have thought that a few years ago? Prize money there has increased, and that gets the bigger field. So it does work. If you put the prize money in, you do get more runners. No doubt.
No form to go on in that. But these guys are going to try and pinpoint the winner. We know you love to talk about the 2-year-olds out there. So get involved. We've got what's coming up on the show for you. 5 big race previews. I'm thrilled, genuinely, that we go to first season trainer bidding to make it back-to-back Lincolns for the yard. Jack Channon, just taken over from legendary Father Mick. He joins us for a chat about his runner in the Biggie tomorrow as well. Then you've got the all-important weekend winners. Right, well, I'm absolutely thrilled. It's all switch time, and it's time to go down to West Isley for first season trainer. I wonder if we could actually say that, though, because Jack Channon take over the reins from his legendary father, Mick, who'd been training for 33 years, now in his own right, a double at Lingfield on Monday, and it's all roads ahead. Jack, welcome along to What a Shout.
Hi, you're right. Hi, Dave. How are things? All well?
Absolutely fantastic. I've got Pat Cooney with me as well from our sponsors, Bet365. He's going to be throwing a few questions at you as well. It's really a case of get to know Jack time at the moment, isn't it?
Well, exactly. I suppose, like I say, I've been around for a while, but no one's probably seen me as much as they would have done the old man. But hopefully I can get in the forefront of everyone's minds over the next few months.
Yeah, and it's a big weekend, of course, with Lincoln coming up. Your first double, back-to-back wins, Hiramochi and another at Lingfield on Monday. And it's fair to say you've racked up your places as well. So things have been, going well as starts go, haven't they, Jack?
Yeah, no, we're very, very happy with the way it's all started. The horses have been in great nick. They've been running very well. Like I say, I think I had 7 seconds and 6 winners, so I can't complain too much. The team at home have done a great job of getting them all ready to rock and roll, and we're just ready for the turf, to be honest. I'm fed up with all this all weather. I want a bit of turf racing now and get started.
Yeah, fed up of us coming and knocking on the door and asking exactly why you're taking over and all that sort of thing. But I've read a few of the articles that you've done with our reporters, Jack, and very much business as usual, is it? No, you're not going to do anything radical?
No, nothing too much. It's obviously I've got a few of my own ideas that maybe Dad was sort of not too keen on before that I'm going to implement. But the main structures there is Dad's always said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we can. That's going to be our, what we're going to be doing.
Where did you go and do your Puss in Boots then? Was it down under? Did you go to the States? Where did we go?
So, I went to Australia for about 9 months with John O'Shea, who was just before he got the Darley job. And then I was with Graham Motion for a year in America. And I was an assistant to Clive Britton for a year, the year we had Rosina. So that was a great experience as well.
Wow, all right. So it's basically let me at 'em time, isn't it? And you've got some interesting entries going forward. Pat, you've seen this as well. We'll talk about Majestic, who won your 365 Cambridgeshire at the end of the year last season. But there are some interesting young horses coming through.
Yeah, absolutely. The one horse I'd like to ask you, Jack, is Carnarvon, who I think she won 2 races last year, but every run was an improvement on the run before. And she signed off, I thought, winning very impressively at Newmarket in October. Have you got classic aspirations for her, and what sort of trip would be her optimum, do you think?
Yeah, no, certainly. She obviously, like you say, she improved all last year as a 2-year-old, and she reminds me a lot of some of those fillies that Dad used to train, the likes of Yala Halib's and Eva's Requests. They started off at a low level as a 2-year-old, and all they did was improve and improve and improve, and hopefully that could be the same for her, and she continued to do that as a 3-year-old. The aim at the minute is to go straight to the 1,000 guineas. All being well, she's, like I say, we're just starting to step up her real serious work, and I'm very, very pleased with the way she's going. Hopefully she's good enough to take her place, but it's whether she's good enough to compete, and we'll find that out on Guineas Day.
Obviously, Jack, you're lucky to inherit what your dad's built, but it's great to have that 3-year-old filly maybe coming forward. Watch that in your Members Club viewers out there. She comes from last to first, basically, and she beats a world filly that's coming back at the finish. I loved her turn of foot there, and obviously she goes with some cut as well, so current weather, absolutely lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, she certainly doesn't mind it with a bit of cut in the ground, so... the rain would only be a positive for her, and I do think she'll probably stay mile a quarter in time as well. She's a full sister to Dan's Dream, who was a good filly for Dad, and she never got further than 7. But this filly's a different model, and I think she'll probably get a mile a quarter as well. So a bit of cut in the ground will help as well.
Okay, all right. So that's all to look forward to. We wish you all the best with her. And listen, Jack will be coming knocking on the door, hopefully, this season as well, when you rack up those wins and stuff. And let's talk about this weekend's runner then, in the Lincoln. I'm sure that this has been the plan since he took out the Cambridgeshire. It was Majestic, who we only really saw first time up at this time last year. He started in a bumper, didn't he, basically? So very unconventional route, but there's no doubt he's still got improvement to come.
Yeah, no, exactly. I suppose it wasn't when we ran him at Kempton, or when he finished nowhere in that Kempton bumper, if you'd have said to me we'd be winning the Cambridgeshire at the end of the year, I'd have probably laughed you off. But we figured out from that bumper that he actually had a bit of a wind issue after about 1.5 miles, mile 6. Harry Cobden said to us that his wind went on him. So in theory, if we hadn't have done that, we probably wouldn't have figured out he had a wind problem for maybe 2 or 3 months after, and he definitely wouldn't have won the Cambridgeshire. So from doing that, obviously we had his wind done, and he just went from strength to strength from there. But ironically, he did all his work last spring with Johan before he won the Lincoln. So we're hoping that that's a bit of an omen.
Yeah, lightning could strike twice, because of course Dad took the Lincoln out last year. Now he came up the middle. Pat, this is in stall 16. Mm-hmm. You know plenty about the horse because you handed over the prize.
Yeah.
Is he going to be taking another big one here? What price are we looking at 365 in a minute?
Well, he's round about a 12-1 chance, and you give him a form book chance, wouldn't you? I mean, when he won the Cambridgeshire, he beat 27 other horses that day, so it was no mean task. Maybe the draw helped him that day at Newmarket. There seemed to be a high draw bias, but he's drawn in 16. I suppose on the face of it, there's other good horses that are in the market are drawn around him in 17s and so forth. So the draw is the draw. You're lumbered with it. So he definitely goes there with each way credentials. How will he go on the softer ground though, Jack? Because it was much faster at Newmarket.
Yeah, no, we've always thought that he'd probably be a better horse with cut in the ground, but this is looking like it's going to be heavy, and I most of the time you just don't know with heavy ground until you go. I've known soft ground horses that don't like it when it's absolutely bottomless. So until we all run on Saturday, I don't think any of us will know if we truly handle it. But I know he'll handle soft, so I'm hoping he can handle the heavy.
Jack, he's been second at Foss-Lass on soft ground. He's going to be absolutely fine. He's like a tractor, I'd imagine, isn't he? Of course, because he's bred to be like a mile 4 horse, isn't he? So this, if it does come a stamina test, you're going to have a lot of fun with him, whatever happens. Though stall 16, I imagine you'll be up there, and I can tell you're excited. We are for you too as well.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about the draw. As as Pat said, we're drawing around a lot of the good ones. So it'll depend where the pace is. We won't be too far away from it, and like you say, he'll stay well. And fingers crossed. I'm, like I say, buzzing for it.
Let's have a look at some of the other runners then running this weekend. You've got Kanawa up at Chelmsford in the evening. Stall 1, first time out.
Yeah, no, she's a sweet little filly. Her work's been really good. Been really happy with her. She's in great form. I don't know quite how much she's got in front of the handicapper, but like say from stall 1, she can pop out and be nice and handy away, and hopefully she can run a nice race.
I see she's entered next week as well, Jack, which is making my eyebrows itch, which is always a telling sign with young trainers, so we'll wish you luck with that. And on Sunday, complete opposite, one of the veteran stars of the party, chairman of the board, comes out. We were talking off air just when we came on. He genuinely is one of my favourites because he's been coming back year after year. He's been 5th in the Stewards' Cup, hasn't he? He's well handicapped, and he will love this rain. Didn't have it last year.
No, exactly. He is one that we know loves the mud, more rain the better for him. Like I say, he picked up a few issues last year because we did run him on quicker ground a couple of times because we just had no other options. There was no rain anywhere, if everyone can remember, and so he picked up a little injury last year, but he seems to have come back from that really well. He's quite a gross horse, so he takes quite a bit of getting fit first time. But I've done plenty with him, and his work's been pretty exciting. So fingers crossed he can run a nice race.
It's you're finding the irony of being a trainer now, Jack, of course, in your own right, because you've probably got a plan for him later on, probably going back for one of the big handicaps, and of course it's rain now. So we wish you luck with him, like he's handicapped to do it. Jack, you're a great talker, I can tell that, and I think it's going to be exciting times for you going ahead this season. So from us here, all at the Racing Post, what a shout on 365. All the best, and thanks for coming on this morning.
Cheers, thanks Dave, thanks Pat.
Thanks a lot.
Right, let's get to these big race previews. What a pleasure it was. Good talker, isn't he? Jack Channon, we're going to get him back on the show, doubtless, throughout this summer, and all the best to the team at West Arsley as well. But we must look ahead to the Lincoln meeting then, and we start off with the 150. The producers are really testing us here, lads. Who's done their pedigree analysis for the Brocklesby?
Pedigree analysis. It's total guesswork at any time of year, isn't it? We've got a strange one this year. We've got Dominic French-Davis with the favourite. Now, Dominic French-Davis has something like a 5% career strike rate with 2-year-olds. He's probably rarely had a 2-year-old even good enough to run in a Brocklesby. He normally trains at that sort of level, but he's been given a big boost by Ammo Racing. And we've got this seriously expensive Valadero who could be anything, but he's obviously been smashed up. And again, he's with a trainer that we don't associate with 2-year-olds.
It's a funny one, isn't it?
On pedigree, you take, if you went through the pedigrees and all of these, he's cost €250,000 as a yearling. You know what I mean? He's the absolute standout, and you'd expect him to be that sort of price if he was trained by a trainer that we're used to. Let's say Carl Burke had him or someone like that. You'd be saying, right, we'd be straight. He'd be the one you'd be most interested in. I think you've got to take him on if you're going to have a bet. I'm not going to say that I am.
I wasn't ever expecting Paul Kealy to go jump on that training one, lads.
Lump on this one. I got interested in two. They're I think they're both from the Nick Bradley ones. The Indication Call of Carl Burke.
Yeah.
I thought he was quite interesting. He is by Soldier's Call. Wasn't that expensive, €42,000 compared to the 250. That's where you get. But you do associate with Colbert with producing, some early 2-year-olds, and then one at a much bigger price was Grant Chewer's got the other one. It looks like it's the first colours if our card is anything right, and it's by Maymas. It was a proper 2-year-old. So I would give him. I would have a second look at him. Watch the market. There will be some later moves, but I mean, if you're pinning your hopes around back in the winner with the Brocklesby, rather than looking in races where there is form to go on.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, who is doing that out there? I bet all the young uns love talking about these unraced babies, though, don't they? And it's a sign of the times, Matt, that this is priced up, of course, already. And this has been smashed. The two things that we know, this could be lightning striking twice, because Persian Force, in these colours, and last season took it out. He went on to place, of course, at Royal Ascot, took out a Group 2, he's now Sire. Yeah. Before that, we had Chipotle, however you pronounce that, Eve Johnson-Housen's, another. Royal Ascot winner. The race has become a bit more serious again, hasn't it? And Ammo Racing, we know the pressure's on. Big moment for Kevin Stott this as well, who associates his retainer.
And the Ammo Racing, I mean, they do put in big money when they buy their horses, and they did have 3 entered at the 5-day stage, so it was significant that they ended up running just the one. And Dominic French-Davis, he trains out of Tom Dascombe's old yard, so the facilities there are good, and I would imagine it's very, very fit. But these horses are all going to have to be, aren't they? It's 5 furlongs on heavy ground. They probably haven't galloped that far, never mind even encountered that sort of surface. Where the money has come from with Valadero, it was an obvious one, just more Ammo Racing than the DFD, the trainer. Because they won the race last year, that's going to be primed for it. The money horse against it has been Loaded Gun of Andrew Baldwin, and that cost $75,000. That's by Magna Gracia, who won the Guineas. So that's one of interest. Our Valadero's drawn 5, he's drawn 4. Who knows? There might be a draw bias. To all of us, it screams don't have a bet, doesn't it? But the market usually finds one here. They're usually in the single-figure price winners. So. It can be done, you can find the winner, but it's a little bit different this time. It's going to be on softer, heavy ground, but the 2 for money, no doubt, Valadero and Loaded Gun. Yeah,
Valadero in stall 5 then. Loaded Gun, who is interesting for Andrew Balding and David Probert, and if this one gets beat, I wouldn't be too worried about that, because he has horses that can finish, second or third and go and win at Royal Ascot. But I'm with Keels. I think indication called in stall 15. Nick Bradley, Colbert looks solid for me. Who knew we talked that much about the Brocklesby out there for you? But it turns out, put us a puzzle in front of us, we'll try and solve it. Let's go to Kempton then. It really is an outstanding card at Kempton. I don't know whether we call it Magnolia Day or Queen's Prize Day, but they're the 2 races that we're going to. It is the Magnolia Stakes and some very established characters here, Pat Cooney.
Absolutely, and of course you could say comparing Doncaster and Kempton, Kempton, we've got Oisin Murphy and Will Buick riding, so there's 2 of the top 3 jockeys around riding at Kempton, and William Buick's on Secret State, who would probably know him racking up a couple of wins early on in the year, and then he was second in the Great Voltager. And then the question then is, he blew out next time out. That was a disappointing run, no doubt. But if the question is, how many of the others could have finished second in the Great Voltager that are running again in this race on Saturday? I suppose the answer is none of them. So Secret State is the most likely winner. On official ratings, he's £3 and beyond in hand. It's just a case of how tolerant you are of that disappointing run last year, which was 6 months ago. So Charlie Appleby clearly knows the time of day. I'd imagine the horse is ready to roll. Is he a bet at 11-8? Not for me, given the last run. The overall CV, yes. It's just a shame, really, from a punting point of view. There's just the 7 runners. You'd have liked there to be the dead 8. Bellocchio's interesting, but he has a £3 penalty. So I suppose I come back to Tyrrhenian Sea, who you have to qualify and say, isn't he a handsome-looking horse? That seems to be what everyone has to say about him. But he was second to Lord North, form boosted last week in Meydan, and he ran well. I think he did try to win that race. He's locked in with Fox's Tails, who was just narrowly behind him. I think Fox's Tails was ridden off the pace, to come and pick up prize money. So I'd expect Tyrrhenian Sea to confirm that form. So I kind of think Secret State likely winner, but Tyrrhenian Sea would appeal. Shame it's not 8 runners from an each-way angle.
We could have gone to the CAF then, couldn't we? We could have gone.
We could have done. Well, actually, can we go to the CAF now?
Absolutely. Let's leave it to Pat.
If we go to the CAF now, right, and just replay what Pat said, because I'd have said pretty much exactly the same. To
Absolutely.
Be fair. So, I mean, the point being, Secret State, yes, that one bad run. The other point is, that bad run was at 1 mile 6. He looked a very strong start at 1 mile 4 before that. This is 1 mile 2. So he's got that question to answer as well. And Terenian Sea, yes, second to Lord North, who won on Dubai World Cup Day. It was a proper Group 1 horse, and that was a good return from him. Bellocchio was unbeaten at Kempton, but like Pat said, is penalised. So yeah, I came down, process of elimination, Terenian Sea to take on the favourite with, but no surprise if the Jolly wins.
I'm going to be filthy here because I think Fox's Tails will reverse that form. I can't believe I'm tipping Fox's Tails. Who's tipped Fox's Tails in their life and been stung by him? It was a gelding operation last time out. Watch it back, that replay. He's coming at the finish again.
Sackable offence.
I know. Yeah, quite right. Anyway, I think Fox's Tails might be the one. Bellocchio's interesting, 3 from 3 at Kempton. Phantom Flight, if you forgive that weird run at Ayr when he was expected to win, he could yet be the one that steps up. He's got some very good form as a 3-year-old. Look, fascinating race. Let us know what you fancy. Secret State, 3-year-old to 4-year-old for the boys in blue. Oisin Murphy up against William Buick. They'll be your 2 favourites, the boys in blue there. But it's Fox's Tails for me. I cannot believe I'm tipping a Leicester horse in that. All right then, let's go back, shall we, to Doncaster. It's the Cammidge coming up, of course. Pat, let's go with you first, because once again, these will be fiercely priced up. I must admit, I've had a very good look at race, but I doubt with me and Kills have done as much research on it as you, if the Magnolia is anything to go by.
Well, the market is headed by El Caballo of Carl Burke, and he impressed us all when he was whizzing home on the all-weather. And then they ran him on the turf, and you think, right, we'll get him beat. So they all them ones by his name. Don't worry about it. Seen it a million times before. They're good on the all-weather. They run on turf, and they get ironed out. And he went and won, and he won very, very well. And then his only real disappointment, the only blip on the CV, was his final run last year, and the ground was just too fast. So he's okay on the ground. He's okay he's one of those freaky horses, I think, who seems to be just as good on both codes. So he heads the market. Comanche Falls is always a popular horse. He sits there at 4. He's got that best fresh look about him as well. But I don't know. I keep coming back. It is going to be testing ground as well. And same old. I know I fall from every time he runs. I think King's Lynn. You thinking about hand something if you back Fox's
Tails, King's Lynn.
Yeah, I know.
All out.
But he's a course and distance winner on soft ground. He's a talented horse on his day. I know you have to draw a line through probably half of his runs, but I always seem to find good. I'm a good-natured soul. I always find good in him. And I think he's attractively priced. So I quite like the idea of him at 6 to 1.
Unlike Paul Kealy, you are a more forgiving man, I agree. This is a proper race to get us teeth stuck into. El Caballo, you said it was such relish, but I think it is Caballo.
Okay.
All right, but he's a showcasing and he's going to love the slot, we think. That is a long old absence, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he might love the slot.
I think he
did win on soft ground as a novice. He would have had... I think I did have a look at that race, and every horse in it is at least £34 worse than him now, though. So he had a massive class edge. Obviously, he's done a lot of all-weather running since. He was, tailed off in the Commonwealth Cup. It's a big layoff, isn't it? So who knows? I mean, I think you've got to take him on. Bet365 extra place in this race as well, 4 places. You've got to take them on, and there's a couple in here that have form against some of those ahead of them in the betting. That has to make them of interest. Fast Response. Won 3 of the last 4 last season, put up the 2 best runs on heavy ground at Doncaster, winning both. Yeah. Won the Wentworth Stakes by 2 lengths, had Comanche Falls 7 and something lengths behind her. Okay, she's £3 worse off, but that's nowhere near enough to make up the difference if they both run the same races again. She's 10s, and I think Nick Bradley said last year the big target will be the Prix de la Baie because she is so ground dependent, and one she's so ground dependent. 2, if they're targeting a Group 1, then she's got to be proper listed class anyway, and she's got to be winning these races under a penalty. Now, okay, the big target is in October, but there's no reason why she won't be ready at the start of the season when the ground's in her favour. So I liked her, and a little bit bigger price as well. Vadream. Never gets to...
Hang on. Fox's Tails, King's Lynn, and now Vadream.
Yeah,
that's the treble.
Yeah, but you're backing Fox's Tails at 11 to 2. I'm backing Vadream at 14.
You've got to put another 0 on that, Kills, I think.
It's a little bit different.
Vadream has beaten King's Lynn before as well.
Vadream, yeah, she rarely gets to run on proper soft ground. She got some cut in the ground at the end of last season. She finished... she was beaten less than 4 lengths in the champion sprint. She then finished 3rd in the Group 3 at Chantilly. The previous season, on soft ground, ground with... form on ground with cut. She was 3rd to Creative Force in the Jersey, 5th to him in the champion sprint, and won that Group 3 at Ascot on soft ground, beating King's Lynn on slightly worse terms than she's on now. So, you know, I just think those two at the prices, given A, the extra places, and 2, the ground that suits, they would be the 2 for me.
Kings Lynn loves Doncaster, you know. I wanted to put a line through him straight away. He's got form on soft ground. He loves Doncaster. That's the thing. And at 30-2, I wouldn't be surprised if he came in. Asjad is an interesting horse for the Horton stable with Danny Tudhope in. He's drawn on the stands well as well. How much importance will that be? I looked at the historical. And this meeting's never anything better than good. You do have some proper soft ground references to go on. It does tend to be a little bit more high, doesn't it? He's 2 from 2 on soft ground, course and distance winner. Very interesting. Comanche Falls, a back-to-back stewards winner, and yet loves the soft ground. You pretty much reckon that he'll be revved up for this. I can't imagine it will be. Surely they'll be looking for a third stewards, but you know these listed sort of / group sprinters can do it these days. And then you've got Eraz that comes into it as well. If he had slightly higher draw, I think I'd be tipping him, you know. Eraz. He's by showcasing as well, and I wonder whether he's been waiting for some soft
I wouldn't
ground.
listen. I wouldn't. If I was talking about the draw, I wouldn't worry so much about the draw. The last time the Lincoln meeting was run on soft ground, it all developed over the low side.
Oh God, don't say that, man.
Well, Adabe,
Yes.
You know, when we talk about it.
Yeah, but that was when there was like 30 odd runners. That was a Lincoln.
Yeah, but you don't want to be, you know, and the, you know, nobody wanted to be on the stands rail. That's for sure.
All right, okay, so we learn as we go
We'll
along.
see.
But it is one of these races, lads, isn't it? You could have 3 sort of shots at the dartboard and, you know, maybe not even hit a number, would you? So, look, good luck. Let us know what your favourite sprinter is going forward. Eraz just about the one for the year, but if I had to go one, I think I'll give Asjad on that stand side a chance. All right, let's go back to Kempton, shall we? From the sprinters to the stayers, and it's the age-old Queen's Prize.
Yes, the Queen's Prize, which seems to have fewer runners year by year, doesn't it? But we've got 6 in it this time. 5 are course and distance winners, so horses for courses applies there. And the other one, Bascoul, is a course winner, not over the distance, who was disappointing, I thought, over hurdles last time out. The market's headed by Aztec Empire. A very interesting horse, this, for Andrew Baldwin. He moved up from 1.5 miles to 2 miles. Not something Andrew Baldwin would tend to do. But it certainly woke the oracle. It was over the course and distance. He was always travelling well, always looked like winning, and got a canny ride, which no doubt he will do again with a Sheen Murphy up. And I just thought he's a lightly raced horse. They know how to ride him. They know what the triplet is. He went up, I think, £6 for that when he beat Withhold, who, OK, he's getting on a bit, but Withhold is still a pretty decent benchmark to set. And it was more by elimination. If they found the secret to the horse, there's more to come at this trip. So I find it hard to come away from Aztec Empire. You need to say Aced it was third that day. Theoretically, he has a form book chance. But visually, no, not really. I thought Aztec Empire, it could just be ahead of the handicapper here at the trip.
The one to beat you is Bandinelli, who won it last year, but he came into it in much better form.
Yeah.
And he doesn't hold that many secrets from the handicapper now.
No, he is what he is, isn't he?
He is.
You know,
he could well win it if the others blow out,
You
but
know,
I'm sure he'll be
Duty
there.
of Care's on a hat trick.
Yeah.
Obviously been running really well. And like I said, there are plenty of course and distance winners, but it was hard not to be impressed by the way Aztec Empire went through that race last time. And I think he is easily the most likely winner. I don't think 7-4 is a bad price.
Yeah, I think he hit the front a bit soon last time. He showed a turn of foot,
Yeah,
didn't he?
yeah.
Aced it is better off at the weights against him for
Correct.
Camilla Bolton. He's got a low draw, but he's flattened out a little bit. And I think Oshin will know this horse better now. He can cover him up a little bit. This is a very, very strong selection for the panel.
Youngest horse in the race as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got the most upside, so yeah, he's the most likely winner.
All right, it's the one you've been waiting for. We move on to the Lincoln at 3:35. Massive field, heavy ground. What has been hot and what has not, Pat Cooney, in 365's market?
Well, as soon as the weights came out, we laid 2 horses, Al Mubir of William Haggis and Awal for Team Crisfords. And William Haggis won the Irish Lincolnshire last weekend. And that just seemed to trigger the move to everyone to back this. Now, it's not been a bad policy, has it, to back a William Haggis 4-year-old in a Lincoln, and he's worked the Oracle a good few times. He's obviously been mapped out for Al Mubir. He's drawn in stall 10, so you can pick your poison. But we've been quick to spot him, haven't we, the layers, and yeah, it's pretty much automatic we're making favourite. Probably stronger at his odds has been Awal, and the public do seem to latch onto these Crisford horses. I think there's always the idea that they might just be group horses in handicap, so they're in the market. But plenty of horses have been popular in the race. Guineas of Charlie Hills has been popular. He's drawn in 22 of 22. Now, we'll have a good idea by then we've got 3 races on the straight course, so he could go north or south in the market depending on the early draw. It's just fascinating. There's loads of horses being backed in the race. Barada of George Bowie with Kevin Stott has been popular, and he's got pretty interesting form. He was 3rd in the Futurity as a juvenile here. He's got lots of soft ground form. He won over the 7 last time. Really, the list is endless, but I do like Barada. I think he's got that profile which suggests George Bowie as well. They normally get him ready, and he could just be as good over the mile as he was over the 7 last time out. But plenty of horses being backed, and I know there's lots of Jimi Hendrix fans, anti-post as well, and I can see it. I really can. With first 6 places on the race, which is a bit dangerous given that come half 3. There might people might say there's only 10 runners because of the way the draw is, so you can bide your time before you have a bet on this race. But I think if I have to pick one round, I like the profile of Barada.
Yeah, 6 places in this for 365 is very enticing, Kills, isn't it? And fools seldom differ. I thought I'd found one in the week. Along comes your weekend, Gwenda Column. And he's on it as well.
No, I do like Jimi Hendrix. I mean, keep him. He was at the start of last season. He looked really good. He won at Haydock. He then finished 3rd, despite being ridiculously keen from the front in the Britannia at Royal Ascot. And then he won a good race at Newmarket's July Festival. Now, he's been keeping a lot better company than the 2 horses at the head of market, who basically just won run-of-the-mill Class 3s at the end of the season on heavy ground. Now, obviously, he doesn't have that heavy ground form. He did win at Doncaster on soft as a juvenile, though, and trainer Rafe Beckett has said that he thought she'd be better with cut anyway.
There's some trainers you just associate for some weird reason, like Venetia and the jumps. I know we shouldn't do it, but race one of these with soft ground also, I've never got a problem.
Yeah, and Rafe Beckett has also only ever had 1 runner in the link, and that was Mitcham Swagger, who finished 3rd.
Is that right?
And he was an exposed 6-year-old. And this is a horse who comes in here having been gelded. Now, he'd shown enough form over the summer to be sent off at single-figure price for the Golden Mile at Goodwood, despite being drawn 21. And a single-figure price joint second favourite, co-second favourite for the Cambridgeshire. Now, he didn't perform all that well in them, but he went through heavy ground well enough until not staying on his final start. He's been gelded, he's been primed for it, and I think he's probably got a good draw in stall 8. Now, there aren't that many soft ground linkages that you associated with it, but the last one was in 2018 when it was won by Adabe, and that year only 1 horse drawn higher than 11 finished in the first 7, and in the spring mile only 1 horse higher than 10 finished in the first 8. They all went across for the Lincoln, apart from 1, not so sleepy, believe it or not.
Wow.
Who stayed standside. And in the previous one that was on soft ground, they split into 2 groups initially, but both shunned both rails. So it's interesting. And there were horses drawn high and low in the frame there. I think it was a high draw that won it, but I think horses drawn 2 and 3 managed to hit the first 5 as well. So I would. You're talking about 1 or 2 race form from 5 years ago to try and make a judgment on what's going to happen. And of course, we don't know what the grass covering is going to be like because they've said that they've got issues with grass covering. It might be a lot better on one side, and we're still not going to know until you're not going to have any idea until after the spring mile. So it's guesswork, but I like Jimi Hendrix and I do like Pat Barada. I think. He was rated 110 after finishing 3rd to McSwiney, proper mudlark, in an absolutely bottomless ground Futurity. He was only beaten 3 lengths that day. He's come out, he's absolutely hosed up on his first run for George Bowie at Doncaster, again on heavy ground, over 7 furlongs, looked like he could easily go another furlong. And of course he's only rated 97 now, so he's almost a stone below what his 2-year-old peak was with Johnny Murter. Wouldn't be surprised if George Bowie brought him back. So there are some very, very interesting horses in this race, not just the front 2 in the betting. I think it's a warm race.
George Bowie, one of the target trainers now, I think we can all agree.
He's very good.
Yeah, it could be a big few hours then for Ammo and the new rider to Kevin Stott then here. I'm going to throw another couple 2 into the mix. He's got 6 places, we may as well. I thought Atrium's trial for this at the end of last season was interesting. He's been backed, he's in stall 13, he loved the ground.
Spent all year back in Atrium.
Same.
Until he started winning.
Same. So back on that bandwagon.
We are notebook horses followers up.
Absolutely. I mean, I back Fox's Tails this programme, anything can happen. But the wonderfully consistent Empire State of Mind was just a head behind him that day. John Quinn's only had 3 runners in this in the last 10 years, one of them won. He's got the old boy as well in there, hasn't he? Safe Voyage. He's right next door to him as well. But Taylor Fisher takes off £5. I think that he loves soft ground. He's got Doncaster form. Of the bigger prices, he's the one I'd be interested in. That is the Lincoln then. You've heard from us. Let's hear from you. Get your Lincoln nap down below. Okay, it's nap time here. Weekend winners for you coming from the panel on What a Shout. Let's go in time order. I'll be going first. 3:15, Aztec Empire, Queen's Prize, one of my favourite races down the years. He's just too good for these, surely, isn't he? Oisin Murphy, get the job done. Kills, you then go to the Lincoln?
Yeah, let's go for glory. Jimi Hendrix. We'll have it.
All right, on song for Kills. Go on, Pat.
5 o'clock Kempton, the lucky last, Shantico, Roger Varian. Typical Roger Varian type, looks the type that's ahead of the handicapper already.
I don't want to scare you, but that would have been the next best for me. I think hit the front a bit too soon at Lingfield last time. Stiffer test, absolutely different gravy to these. There are your weekend winners. Call it a Trixie, call it a treble. There are most important hopes. Well, sadly, that's all we've got time for here on this weekend's What a Shout. What fun it has been switching codes. Just talking about the flat, some decent jump racing at Uttoxeter this weekend as well. They race at Leopardstown back in Ireland on the Sunday as well. It's all out there for you, isn't it? Good luck, Kills, with Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Will you be watching it in the club or something like that? Or?
Yeah, probably in the club. Might try and have another little game of snooker first.
Yeah, it's important, Kills, isn't it? And Pat, on a serious note, heavy ground, first day on the flat. Go
take it easy,
guys.
Take it easy.
Yeah, safe gambling, very much part of the MO this weekend, that's for sure. Pat, thanks for coming down. You'll be down with us next week, I'm hearing.
Absolutely, yes, looking forward to it.
Not on Friday.
Or the all-weather final preview.
We'll be doing it on Thursday for you. We're going to have an all-weather smash-up. It's Lingfield and Newcastle, of course. The decks will be out on Wednesday. We are really looking forward to the celebration of the end of the all-weather season coming up. So join us for that. Don't forget, of course, to download the must-have Racing Post app. You can do that on the Google Store, the Apple Store itself. There you go. Stay ahead of the field. Just gets better, this app, doesn't it? Very much so. And once again, they're expecting me to fill over this advert. Rosie Margeson, looking happy about it. Ah, there you go. You're on double time for that advert, Kills.
I haven't been paid a penny, mate.
I'll believe that. I'll believe that. There you go. All right, great stuff. So listen, really good stuff. If you don't have the Racing Post app, get ahead of the field. Do so. It's free, like this show for you, basically. I've been Dave Orton. Absolute pleasure to be with you. Good luck this weekend. What a thrill it was to have Jack Channon with us as well. Signing off. Enjoy the sport.